So it's really, really great to connect with you today, Richard. And for the purposes of newcomers to Cardiff and particularly think of some of our students at Urban Crofters, it'd be brilliant if you could just say a little bit about Oasis, what goes on there.
Yeah. So Oasis is a centre for asylum seekers and refugees. Pre-COVID, it was the hustle and bustle for asylum seekers. So we would very frequently have sort of 200 to 300 people in the centre for food and for English classes. We ran employability workshops, but the most important thing was that it was a place that was safe for people to come to. There was no expectation from Oasis, and it was a good point where they could just come and meet new people and ask the questions that they wouldn't perhaps normally be able to ask the Home Office or other refugee organisations about developing their new lives in the UK, however short or long that might be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and we've sort of gradually grown, and we now do more food stuff as we've been inspired by people coming to Oasis and coming from different countries. And so we've done supper clubs and storytelling events, really to show and highlight the amazing richness that people bring.
Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. And where do you find that most of the asylum seekers come from?
It's really hard to pinpoint where most come from. It comes in waves. So periods of time, it will be sort of Sudan and Eritrea. You'll have Kurdish, Iraqis. You'll have Iranians coming in. So it really depends. You know, at the moment or during the last 12 months, we had a huge influx of South Americans from El Salvador and Venezuela, you know, with all that's going on over there. So yeah, it really does depend. It's a mixed pot. But one of the things I loved, I think it was about a year ago, we sort of did a survey in one of the English classes, and out of 24 people that were in the English class, I think there were about 13 different nationalities. Mm-hmm. That shows the variety that are coming into Cardiff.
Yeah, amazing. And can you share any encouragements that have happened recently?
You know, every day there are some positives, but I think, you know, some of the encouragements that you get are when people get their status finally. I had a phone call from a gentleman that I've known personally for the last 5 years, and he told me that his son that he unfortunately had to leave in Sudan had his family reunion application accepted, and that they were just waiting to do the flights to come over to the UK, and so he'll be joining him in the next week to 10 days.
Amazing.
Here in the UK, and they haven't seen each other for 7 years. His son, I think his son was like 3 or 4 when he left. And you know, and that is hugely encouraging, because you just see not just one person's life being rebuilt, but you know, a whole family being brought together. So yeah, that's, you know, stories like that are always encouraging to us, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I'm sure there are lots of challenges and difficulties. Can you let us know a little bit about those, and then we could be praying for those? We have morning prayer every morning at Urban Crofters, and we pray for Oasis on Fridays. I think it is. So if you could give us some pointers for prayer, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, I think obviously this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, has been difficult for everybody. But I think when you're in a new environment where perhaps English isn't your first language, where many of our clients are kept with limited amount of resource, that becomes really challenging, and it plays on people's mental health, of feeling isolated and almost hemmed in, caged in, into one location. So, you know, real prayer is just that there would be grace over people's mental health during this time, that people would see some light in this situation. And then obviously as an organization, you know, as we're continuing to meet people's needs, you know, that we don't lose sight of why we're doing it. You know, that ultimately we do it for the glory of God, and we do it to serve our neighbors, and that we'll be focused on that. So just continue to pray for our staff, that they are well, and that they know that, and us as a team as well, that we would be focused on the wider vision of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
There are always challenges, of course. You know, the imminent need of, you know, housing for people that are destitute, those that, again, you know, have never been, you know, they've had to travel, I don't know, a few thousand miles to get to the UK, and now all of a sudden they can't travel more than, you know, 3 miles because of lockdown. You know, so yeah, we just we ask for prayer for the clients and for those that have come to Cardiff.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. And how can we best partner with Oasis as a church?
Yeah, I think volunteer, get engaged. We have millions of volunteering opportunities, whether it's teaching English, whether it's helping out in the kitchen, whether it's helping write grant bids, whether it's delivering food, whether it's learning another language so that they can communicate with people. So I know that some people have learned Arabic and Farsi so that they can work with the clients in their language. That's an incredible feat to do. But also, you know, I know that Oasis are considering, or hopefully going to have some opportunities for trusteeship as well. You know, for people to pray about whether they would like to be involved in supporting the leadership and direction of Oasis as well. So they're on lots of different levels. There's plenty to get involved in. So and working together on the cafe, as we were doing pre-COVID, you know, helping out. You know, we have lots of guys that have got backgrounds in building projects, doing lots of collaborative work is always great.
Yeah. Well, we certainly enjoyed having the 2 volunteers come and join us in the cafe before lockdown. Sadly, it was cut short,
Yes.
and then only were sort of just getting going, really, and then it all had to close. But we look forward so much to being able to partner in the future, and to being able to welcome new volunteers to the cafe when we open up. So, Richard, thank you so much for your time today, and it's been a really
You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
thanks, Richard.